Get out. Go fishing with Bill Dance Outdoors today.
He may be the most famous race car driver in America. He's certainly the all-time superstar in the down-home sport of stock car racing. Since the beginnings of the sport, Richard has led the dominant team, the backbone of that outfit. The key to Richard's success is his family. At the track, he relies on cousin Dale Inman, crew chief and consultant, mechanical guru, and moral supporter. At home, Richard's pillar of strength is his wife, Linda, and together, the Petty family has earned its place as hidden heroes.
The hat, the glasses, the boots, the number 43, symbols of an American treasure. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Bowman. You know, over the years, NASCAR's produced drivers of epic proportions, but there's only one they call the King. Join me today as we meet the hidden heroes behind the legendary Richard Petty.
This episode of Hidden Heroes is brought to you by Fram Oil and Air Filters, Bendix Brakes, and Autolite Spark Plugs and Wiring Cable, which are all quality products of Allied Signal.
Stock car fans call this The Rock, North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. Richard Petty calls it home. Together, he and Linda have traveled to every corner of America racing cars. But when the Winston Cup Stalkers come to Rockingham, they're just an hour drive from the family homestead and race shop in the tiny hamlet of Level Cross. Their race day routine needs no planning, no discussion. They've done this together in good times and bad for 35 years. Along the way, Richard has carved a record that will surely stand forever. He started more than 1,000 career races. But the Petty family racing tradition didn't start with Richard. While he's the measure of stock car racing greatness, his father is among the foremost pioneers. Lee Petty etched his name in the earliest pages of the NASCAR record book, at the wheel of cars that Richard and his brother Maurice helped build. Lee's chapter in the family's success story ground to a halt at the 1961 Daytona 500.
It was like 5 or 6 days before they even knew whether he was going to live or not. But anyhow, we went in on Monday morning. He said, you know, you and Morris go on home, get up another car and start working on it. Said, me and your mother be home about Friday. He was home Friday in about 4 months.
As my job, I just tried to keep the home fires burning. I just tried to maintain a happy place for him to come to when he made it through the struggles of each day. And I was younger, he was younger. And of course, things don't look always so bleak when you're young as when you get to be, 50 years old.
We probably did more growing up in that 1 year than we probably did in 10 before that or 10 after that.
Richard and I, we went week after week, and of course we blowed up everywhere we went, but we didn't give up. And it was very lean. We had very little money, but we made it with what we had and struggled along. And I think probably that was one that probably had as big of anything that's happened in making Richard Petty what he is, because he had the weight of the world on his shoulders when we left Daytona at that time to come back and put this all together. And he had the determination and the love for the sport, and the help of all the family here, including myself, and we made it work.
The Pettys more than made it work. They helped to shape a ragtag backyard pastime into a major league sport. Now Richard's in his 50s and the wins are hard to come by. But he and his crew chief cousin, Dale Inman, continue their lifelong quest to reach victory lane.
Wherever dirt goes, you know it's up to no good, especially when dirt goes for your car. So when it comes to stopping dirt,
Okay.
more people go with Fram. Because no air filter traps more dirt than Fram. It's the #1 way to stop dirt in its tracks.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
Fram, the end of the road for dirt.
To prove how long Rain Dance car wax lasts, just add water. Rain Dance, the longest lasting protection you can buy. When he's working, when his work is done, a man wants a jean he can feel comfortable in. American Hero Jeans from Wrangler.
To those who fearlessly accept the challenge of car care, Kmart dedicates the following. Armor All Protectant, 20 fluid ounce bonus pack and economy refill now on sale. You can't lose at the Auto Center at Kmart, the saving place.
Saturday, it's a musical Glasnost. Roy Clark's Friendship Tour, USSR, Part 1. Saturday on TNN.
Linda and Richard arrived together. As always, Richard to the garage, Linda outside in the van, tending to grandchildren the same way she has spent Sunday at the racetrack for 35 years. For Richard and Dale, today will be different. Race day at Rockingham, on his home track, in front of his hometown fans. The king of stock car racing suffers the embarrassment of lining up 38th in a 42-car field. That familiar racing number, those unmistakable colors, hide the fact that this is a new race team, a reincarnation of the once dominant Petty Enterprises powerhouse, struggling to return Richard Petty to his throne. Ever the innovators, Richard and Dale have come up with a new trick for this 500-mile grind, an oxygen mask to combat the effects of carbon monoxide buildup, increasingly recognized as a potential health threat to drivers. Keeping his driver healthy has always been an Inman priority.
If he gets in a race car that I've about halfway overseen to go out and run, he's not worried about something falling off of it. I think he's got a lot of faith in me. To see him get hurt, it hurts me too.
The Daytona accident. Visions of Lee Petty in 1961. The crash some thought would end King Richard's career.
I was listening, on my car radio, and I was at my van with a couple of other ladies, and we were sitting there, and all at once the guy's screaming, and he's saying, that Richard's been flipping, and it's a terrible accident. So immediately I headed for the hospital, and just could hear screaming, and you could look at the grandstand, you knew there was lots of commotion. And so when I got to the hospital and got inside and was able to catch my breath a minute, here's a TV, closed circuit TV. And 2 or 3 of the nurses, and Miss Johnson that's there at Daytona, we've known for years, and is just a wonderful friend of our family. And she came, she said, he's okay. And they've talked to him, and they're going to be bringing him in, he's okay. And yet, all of a sudden here, they were showing a replay. And that was the first time I had seen it. And, in my mind, I'm saying, there's no way he can be okay. He must be dead, and she's just telling me that. I'm laying there and I open my eyes, and there's Linda, and there's Sharon, and there's Lisa, and Rebecca. They just are all the way around. You looking up, and there they are, and you just see the concern. They know you're okay, but you can see the concern in their faces and stuff. And I told them if I ever thought about not getting back in the race car, then that was the time I thought. I am so lucky to have been a part of Richard Petty's life. That if something happened today, I could not look back with any regrets. And I just want to be able to look back and be so thankful at what I had and not what I would have lost. And of course, I hope that we go on together until we get to be 100 years old.
Don't be surprised if the Pettys do make it to 100. They've been together. Matter of fact, they've been married since they were kids.
He's seen this great movie with John Wayne, and the name of it was North to Alaska. He was really thinking that maybe we should just get married and go to Alaska. And I definitely was not thinking of going to Alaska. I mean, coming out of Randleman, North Carolina, there was no way I was going to Alaska. So when he really got serious about the racing, I said, this is great. This is great. Anything's better than Alaska.
One of the Petty legends is that he spent his wedding night working on his race car. The truth is even stranger.
So actually, we were married. I was very young, 17 years old. And we went to Chesterfield, South Carolina, and got married and came back to Randleman, and he took me home and he went home. And we lived like that for several months before we were brave enough to tell our parents what we had done. So actually, our wedding night, I spent at my house and he spent at his.
If that sounds a little unusual, Linda took it in stride. She married a Petty. She knew what she was getting.
When we first started going together, and about time we got married and stuff, I told her, I said, racing is number one. If you work real hard, you might be number two. And I think she's always really accepted what I said. She's the one that's kept the family going. She's the one that's looked after the family. I've been sort of trying to be out and be the breadwinner, but she's been the backbone of the Richard Petty family. And, she did the situation of looking after the kids, making sure they got where they needed to go. And again, she was father and mother when I wasn't here.
I was the person that took care of everything and all the discipline and everything with the kids. And I never threatened them with things like, well, just wait till your dad gets home, because I didn't want them to live in fear of the day he would walk through the door.
And when I got here, then they could come and sit in my lap and I could be good to them, and they thought I was great. And it worked out real good on my part.
As the sport of stock car racing grew up, it also began to change. Like never before, the Pettys found themselves struggling to keep up.
Just a couple of laps to go, and he's coasting in slowly. He's completely out of gasoline.
Under a new kind of pressure, family ties began to unravel. And at the end of the 1980 season, it all came apart. Dale Inman left the team.
It was like a death. It's like when you lose somebody and...
When we redesigned their new gas streamer, they come to me, Mario Lupino, for a professional opinion. I was impressed with the sleek new lines on this baby. But the way she hugged a dead man's girl, I knew I was driving my dream machine. Quick on the straightaway, nimble to the corner, stops on a dime. Weed Eater, it looks like you've done it again. Right, boys? The sleek new Weed Eater, performance tested by me, Mario Lupino.
To prove how long Rain Dance car wax lasts, just add water. Rain Dance, the longest lasting protection you can buy.
You got rain, wet, bumps and humps, curves, mud, holes and lumps, all the ruts and rocks that you're up against. You need Bridgestone confidence.
With just a finger's width of tire between you and the road, you need world-class technology, quality engineered to give you Bridgestone confidence.
No matter what, it just makes sense. You can't drive today without confidence. Bridgestone confidence.
Sunny, high in the 70s. Expect a strong breeze to come your way.
Look what just blew in from Yamaha. Breeze, the all-new full-size fun machine. It's got push-button start, reverse gear, full suspension, and it's fully automatic, so it's a breeze to ride. Now, having fun's a breeze. The all-new Breeze is here. Ask your Yamaha dealer about no money down financing on approved credit.
Hi, I'm Sylvia, and these are my special guests, Hoyt Axton and his mother, May. Join us for a very special Mother's Day this week on Holiday Gourmet. We'll fix some terrific recipes, sing some great songs, and have a fabulous time. It's all here this week on TNN. Join us, won't you?
Holiday Gourmet is brought to you in part by Nestle Products. Monday at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific on TNN.
Dale Inman has seen it all, through good times and bad. His goal has never changed, to give Richard Petty a car that can get him to victory lane.
You've heard it said that, like, when two people live together, they begin to look alike and think alike. Well, I think that was true of Richard and Dale. Not that they looked alike, but that they thought alike. They thought on the same terms in racing.
I guess he started working for me full-time 61 or 62, and she saw two of us as one. I mean, that was the race car. We was the ones making it go and the whole deal.
And me and him can have a big argument. I mean, we can argue like we're going to back off and fight each other. But then it's all over. We're on to something else that's important. I think he trusts me and I trust him. And that's hard to find in a period of 30, 35 years that we've been with each other.
Perhaps feeling they had something to prove, the team went to Daytona in 1981 with rumors of Dale's leaving, and Richard won his 7th and last 500. Then the truth came out.
When I look back at the 81 race, I think I look back at losing Dale and the emotional part of it more than I look back at the good time of winning the race. It really hurt. It hurt all of us.
After 30 years in the pressure cooker of success, the unthinkable happened. In 1981, Dale Inman quit.
Sometimes you have to put your family aside, seems like, to get the car ready. Well, I'll tell you.
And at first, it was like a death. It's like when you lose somebody and they're gone. And you feel like it's so final because you don't see that person. And you grieve. It's just an inward grieving.
It was sort of like starting all over again. Even though we had the same people, we just didn't have one of the leaders in the business.
I don't know how it affected the whole Petty family, but as far as affecting Richard and myself, as you say, it was as rough a thing as I have had to face this far in my life.
Inman left the crew chief for Dale Earnhardt.
First race, I went with Earnhardt. And Earnhardt didn't tell me until after the race, but half the time during the race, I called him Richard on the radio, and I didn't realize it until Earnhardt brought my attention to it.
Perhaps Inman's departure was the cause. Maybe it was just a symptom. But Petty Enterprises was a team in decline. With Petty leading the way, the sport had changed. Grown up, big dollar sponsors, $500,000 rigs, business managers, public relations people were now the norm, not the exception. The old days were gone forever. The notion of a driver like Petty owning his own car and running his own team was out of date. And in 1983, Petty announced the most monumental decision of all.
My announcement today is that I am leaving Petty Enterprises.
Richard was free to concentrate on what he loves best, driving. And in 1984, he claimed his 200th career win. That same year, Dale Inman guided Terry Labonte to the Winston Cup Championship. Simultaneously, Richard and Dale rediscovered the racing success that had lately eluded them, but they hadn't done it together.
He could not have survived away from Petty Enterprises any longer. And I think that the day that he made up his mind, I'm going back home, and that Dale said, I'll go with you, I think it was just like a rejuvenation for Richard. It was like new life.
Brought to you by Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this.
Cape Hatteras and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Hatteras means surf casting for bluefish, and man, do they love to fight. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer and smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light.
There's nothing like the flavor of a special place and Old Milwaukee beer.
Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light.
Hey guys, this doesn't get any better than this.
You got rain, wet, bumps and humps, coups, mud, holes and lumps, all the ruts and rocks that you're up against. You need Bridgestone confidence.
With just a finger's width of tire between you and the road, you need world-class technology, quality engineered to give you Bridgestone confidence.
No matter what, it just makes sense. You can't drive today without confidence. Bridgestone confidence.
Some boys like to play rough with their toys. Those who don't get over this grow up and become off-road racers, like Walker Evans, 8-time winner of the grueling Baja 1000. Of course, now Walker has someone to make sure his toys don't break. Crew Chief Randy Anderson. For spark plugs, Randy relies on only one brand, Autolite. Because Randy knows for a plug as tough as Autolite, this kind of punishment is mere child's play.
Gotta get away for the weekend. Gotta get some fresh air in my mind. Flying like a jet plane, riding in the wet lane. When it comes to good times, I'll take water with mine. Water with mine. On my jet ski, got my baby with me. When it comes to good times, I'll take
The
water
Kawasaki
with
Jet Ski Watercraft family. Water you waiting for.
The reunion of Petty and Inman and the rebirth of Petty Enterprises took place in the fall of 1985.
When he realized that he could not continue in his situation, that his love was over here, and to shut the doors at Petty Enterprises, that was as devastating as with Dale leaving. That was his heart and soul. I mean, he had put his sweat and blood into Petty Enterprises. And so he had to come home. If we had to sold everything we had and gone over there and lived in a corner of that shop, he had to come home. He could not have survived away from Petty Enterprises any longer.
Dale Inman is no more inclined to talk about the reason he came back to Petty Enterprises than he is about the reason for leaving. That's family business. But the reunion did not bring instant success.
Make it this time. Make it this time. Come in, let's see if we pull it off.
The names are magic, Petty and Inman. But that magic cast its spell during another era of stock car racing. Changes in the sport that precipitated the Petty decline had accelerated during the 5 years Richard and Dale were apart. The name remained the same, but Petty Enterprises was in fact a new team built virtually from scratch. Perhaps most significantly, Richard and Dale are survivors of a different era. The technical superiority they enjoyed in the 70s is ancient history now. Could it be that the Pettys are now hampered by their more traditional attitudes?
We hadn't been able to finish a lot of races. I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. I know Dale puts a lot of pressure on himself. I put a lot of pressure on myself. Linda gets a lot of it from bleed over, I guess. And, you know, it's just frustrating, I guess, as much as anything.
I can remember when we had won 10 races in a row, and I dreaded to go to the track because I knew that we was going to lose a race, and I didn't know where you could stand. And now kind of you want to go because you need a win so bad.
Whether Richard ever wins number 201 or not, his place in stock car history is secure. The embarrassments of the early 80s have faded to a footnote in his team and family's diary of success. His popularity is overwhelming.
People say, well, what's he got to prove? I mean, you know, Richard Petty holds all kinds of records. You know, what is he trying to prove? And I don't really think he's trying to prove anything. It's just that he loves what he does. And he loves it so good that he hasn't reached that point in life that he's ready to put it aside.
I really don't think of him as retiring. We talked about this probably 10, 15, 20 years ago. Richard said, I think the way we need to do it, Dale, is when we'll just talk it over, and when I get out of the car, we'll say, that was my last race. And I would like to see it happen that way, because I don't know where I could go down and go through a countdown with him or not. I'd say this, we need to win 201. I think if all the situations fell just right, we could win the 201, maybe 210, who knows, but it's tough out there, and I'd be a fool to say that it's not tough, and it's been tough on us trying to win. But there's places that we can win. Yes, I think if everything gets right, we can win.
He loves it, and that's what keeps him out there. And you know, that's the thing that really bothers me when people say, why don't he quit? You know, why don't you make him quit? But that's not easy. That has to come from within that person. And nobody can make Richard Petty quit.
The only thing that's lacking is winning races. But on the other hand, I don't want to trade and say, okay, I want to win some races and trade all the other good parts of life away.
You look back through all the years, and some that were bad, but so many that were so good that you say, you know, one bad year cannot ruin 30 years.
You know, from that standpoint, even if we don't never win a race, then I think we're going to be happy with what's going on. And I'm still happy when I get in that race car. I still love to drive a race car, and you know, as long as I do that, then I'm not endangering myself or somebody else, and I'll probably still be in there digging along.
Through all the victories, the championships, the crashes and the struggles, Richard Petty counts on two people, Linda Petty and Dale Inman. For Hidden Heroes, I'm Dave Bowman.
Next week on Hidden Heroes, meet Randy Anderson, crew chief for off-road racer Walker Evans, as they compete in the grueling Parker 400.
This episode of Hidden Heroes has been brought to you by Fram Oil and Air Filters, Bendix Brakes, and Autolite Spark Plugs and Wiring Cable, which are all quality products of Allied Signal.
Richard's never moved fast. We've always had a joke that if there was a fire, he'd never get out because he moved so slow, and that you had to look at him twice to make sure he was moving. And it's kind of funny because he gets in a car and can run 200 miles an hour, but when you see him walking along, he never changes his speed. And you just watch him around the racetrack. You never see Richard hurrying anywhere. He just idles along.
And takes you close to all the action with Sports Sunday. You'll really...